Hi guys, this is Kevin. I'm a reference librarian here at Reed Memorial Library, and today I'm here to talk a little bit about the basics of metal detecting. I brought my little metal detector here from home, and basically this is just a fun activity that anybody can do. It's really good for social distancing, and we have a lot of resources here at the library that can help you do it. So I'm going to talk you through a little bit of that stuff, and then at the end we're going to show a short video of me digging here at the library. I got permission to go outside and do a little bit of digging around the building so we can take a look and see what I found out there. So if you stick around, we'll show that toward the end. And so I'm going to go through a few points here. Number one thing I would like to mention is that you want to know your metal detector and the settings that go along with it. So it's important that you're comfortable with your particular metal detector. They're all kind of different, and the more familiar you are with it, the less time you'll waste and the higher chances you'll have of actually finding something. And some of the more expensive metal detectors have a lot of different settings you can go through. This is kind of a basic model. It has basically just two settings that are ones that you can change a little bit. There's a discrimination setting, that's the one on the left here, and there's a sensitivity setting. And so with the discrimination setting, it basically lets you filter out objects and avoid a lot of trash if you're digging up, in a messy area where there's been a lot of people living for a long time. There might be trash like old nails or bottle caps, that kind of stuff that it'll pick up. So discrimination is a setting that will let you go through and kind of filter out some of that. And the sensitivity setting is basically a balance where you can basically say, if it's too sensitive, you'll pick up a lot of other things that you might not want, like maybe underground water pipes or even radio signals. So you want to avoid that. So you don't always want to use the highest sensitivity setting, but then if you go too far the other way, you probably won't find anything. So that brings up the next point, is that you really want to test your device before you use it. So how do you do that? You want to gather a collection of different types of metal, maybe quarters and pennies and jewelry, anything that you think you might want to dig up, and practice burying them outside, like make little pits in the soil, and then you can get a feel for what sort of noises your metal detector will make when you're digging those up. And it really is good for just giving you a sense for what sort of a sound it will make. And then while you're doing that, when you're testing it, try adjusting all the different settings, and you can get a feel for what a difference those can make, because you can achieve different results with different settings on there. Next tip I have is just prepare your supplies that you're going to take with you. And when you're just starting off, you don't have to go out and buy a whole lot of extra stuff. I know they make all kinds of stuff you can go online and get for metal detecting. It's hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of supplies, but if you're just starting out, you don't really need all that. You just need the basics. There's an inexpensive metal detector. Anything will beep when it's going over metal. And then usually I'll take a few bags with me. I'll have some supplies in here. So you want to get a pair of durable gloves. Just like if you're out gardening, digging in the dirt, you don't want to be getting all that all over your hands, especially with metal detecting, because there's going to be things like rusty nails, maybe old razor blades, and you just want to be safe. So it's not just getting your hands dirty. You really don't want to rip up your skin. Another thing you'll need is some sort of a digging tool, and I use this garden spade. I sharpened the edge a little bit just so it's a little bit easier just to dig into the soil there. You don't really need anything fancier than that, but if you have a particular kind of tool that you like to use, then go for it. Just like I was saying, that there's lots of stuff you can use, but it's wise just to get that later on. Just decide whether or not you really like metal detecting first, and then if you want to make it into a permanent hobby, then you can go out and get better equipment. One thing people use is a pinpointer. I don't have one, but it's a little device that it's kind of like a mini metal detector, and then when you're digging through the pile of stuff you dug up, it actually lets you pinpoint it, and it saves a little bit of time from going through all that bit by bit. Next thing you have to do is choose your hunting ground. You want to pick out where you're going to be metal detecting. And there's all kinds of great options for that. There's churches, public parks, beaches. Well, we don't really have any beaches around here, but there's other parks, schools, private land, campsites, and those are all good locations, but the key to any of them is to make sure that you have permission. You can't just go around digging anywhere, even though it would probably be a great place to dig. If you don't have permission, there's a good chance you'll get in trouble for digging there. So the best kind of permission is to have written permission. Try to get it written down on paper that's really, good proof that you do in fact belong there and you're not just somebody going in unauthorized. And that's even true for private land, because you want to make sure that you have permission from the landowner who actually owns the property, and also be sure that you know the boundaries of where that property ends. You don't want to just say, oh, I have permission to dig here, and then wander off into the neighbor's yard. That's not good either. So make sure permission is acquired. That's probably the number one key. Okay, more points to what makes a good location. You want to make sure that it has either one of these two factors. It either hasn't been searched before, or it's a place that's being continuously replenished with new items. So, like in a park, there could be people dropping coins and stuff in there all the time. That would be a good example of a place that is always replenished. And place that hasn't been searched before, probably the best type of place would be an old site, and I would be referring to a place where it has a history of being used in the past, like an old fairgrounds or something. Probably the one that pops to mind first in Ravenna here would be a piece of property that was on the old Ravenna fairgrounds that used to be off of the north side of Main Street. So there's lots of houses up there that used to be on that fairgrounds, and now they're just residential housing. So you're asking, okay, how do I research that to find out where those places are? Well, come to the library. We've got all kinds of stuff here that you can use. One of the best books we have on the subject is this map book. This is the 1874 to 1978 Bicentennial Atlas of Portage County, and it has maps in here from all those different years. It goes by township, and it shows the borders, boundaries of who owned land where, and also shows where the old buildings used to be. And it's a good chance to, find stuff outside of those buildings. Other things we have here are just general history books that will talk about the history of the area, where the old schools used to be. There used to be old one-room schoolhouses around the township. That would be a great place to dig, or anything like that. There's all kinds of history in Ravenna going back a couple hundred years. Route 59 here is actually, it's been there for a couple hundred years. So even though the building that's right on the road isn't old, it doesn't mean that you couldn't find something that's a really old relic. So there's a good chance of finding all kinds of cool artifacts here in Ravenna. The best place to come is here at the library. Another resource we have is the Sanborn fire insurance maps, and they're actually good to show the outlines of where all the buildings in town used to be. So I actually made another video earlier in the year. It's on our website where you can go through and see that video of just how to use the Sanborn maps, but they're a really good tool for this as well. Okay, my next point is that you're going to want to metal detect effectively. So you don't want to just go wandering around out there. It's good to have a system in place so you're not wasting your time. So you want to learn the proper swing of your metal detector, and a lot of people say you want to keep it low to the ground and go kind of slow, because if you go fast, there's a chance you might miss something. Sometimes those beeps are really fast and you might not even hear it. So that's probably one of the keys for going out effectively. Of course, there's no right or wrong way, so if you just want to go wander around with it and have fun that way, that's fine. Just less likely to find things that way. So when you're out there digging, I'm going to demonstrate this video, but when you're out there digging and you get a hit with your metal detector, you're going to want to dig a small area around it. So you can't actually just pinpoint it with a metal detector. You're going to want to dig around it a few inches wide and a few inches deep, and then pull out that soil from the hole, flip it over, and then you can go through it and see what's in there. And they call that a plug. And usually what you want to try to do is use one side of it attached to the soil. So if there's grass on top, you're not ripping up all the grass. The grass will still be attached to the roots, and you can just kind of fold it back and then place it back when you're done, because you don't want to leave that area looking like there's a whole bunch of holes that somebody dug up. You don't want it to look like somebody's dog went through there and dug up the yard, you know. So you want to make it better than when you found it, ideally. So if you dig up a piece of trash, pick it up, put it in the bag, and take it home with you. You don't want to leave all that for somebody else to find later. Next point I'm going to say is you want to be patient and persistent. So when you first start going out there, you're going to have a whole bunch of beeps, and you're going to be really excited and think you found treasure, and you're going to dig it up, and it's going to be like a rusty nail like I found a couple days ago. Here's a nail I dug up, or just a random piece of trash. This is just a piece of iron. So you never know what you're going to dig up. That was just in my yard at home. So I'd say probably if you live in a city, most of the stuff you're going to dig up is going to be trash. But you just have to kind of hunt for that needle in a haystack for something good, because there are treasures out there, and you just have to find it. The discriminating feature on the metal detector, you're going to go back to that, and that's really a key to just understanding that, to be able to filter out that junk. Another point is safety. You want to be sure you're safe when you're out there, so you want to be cautious, especially if you're in an unfamiliar neighborhood, and also make sure that you bring everything you need for a safe experience out there. If it's a hot sunny day, make sure you put on your sunscreen or insect repellent. If it's out in the woods, you don't want to get bit by a bunch of mosquitoes. That wouldn't be fun. Because the number one tip is to just enjoy the hunt of metal detecting, and then, you know, it'll be something that you might want to continue. I want to mention that if you guys have questions about any of this stuff, you can email us at any time. Our email is reference@reedlibrary.org. So if you watch this video later on and you want to go back and ask me something else, I can reply to you that way. And at this point, I think we're going to watch that video just so you can see what I found. So we're going to flip over to that. There's something. Oh, just a rock. I don't think there's anything here. I think that was just kind of background noise. Oh, I was wrong. No, that's what it is. It's a hammerhead. Ball peen hammer. Thought that was a rock. Okay, we're back. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that little video. That was kind of a fun thing. It was unexpected. I had no idea what I would dig up, and I was really surprised when I found that hammerhead. So what I did, I actually took it home. I let it soak in some vinegar just to clean it up. I knocked off a lot of the loose rust, and so this is what it turned out to be. It's just a little ball peen hammerhead, and it's really cool. So I was excited to find that. It's kind of a neat little treasure, and it could probably be cleaned up a little bit more even. I can take it home and kind of brush it off and polish it up if I want to. So that was a cool thing I found. And the other thing I want to reiterate is just make sure you have permission, because I did have permission to go out there and do that. So we don't want a whole bunch of people just to show up at the library with their metal detectors and start digging through the grass out there. So you saw I put the grass back and tried to make it seem like nobody had been there. So that's the way we wanted to keep it. But if anybody has any questions about any of this stuff, once again, just contact us at the library. Our email address is reference@reedlibrary.org. I'm Kevin, and you guys have a good weekend. Goodbye.